Almost there. Almost there. If you have been stretching your hamstrings by just touching your toes all this while, then this video can effectively stretch your hamstrings in a different manner in 4 simple steps. Now, let's start with step 1. The step 1 here, or the first step here, is you need to understand the position of your back when you're rounding and straightening your back. Now, let's go backwards first, and then let's try to figure out where the hamstrings is. So, the hamstring is actually a touch on the knee area, somewhere here just behind the knee, and then it goes all the way up to the bottom of your pelvic bones. Okay? So, that's why when you stretch your hamstrings, you need to straighten your knees. Then you reach forward towards your toes and you feel a good stretch on your hamstrings. So if you bend your knees, then you don't feel anything, right? So that's one part of the stretch. Now the second part of the stretch, which is most likely neglected by most people who stretch their hamstrings, will be the position of your hips and back. So if I straighten my knees and then I reach forward towards my toes by rounding my back like this, then I end up stretching my back, but there's actually not much difference. Even if I reach further forward, it doesn't change anything on the length of my hamstrings. Whereas, if I keep my back straight here, and then I think of like I hinge my spine by tilting my hips this way, so you can see the hamstring will be stretched here, and then at the same time, the attachment of my hamstrings on my pelvic bone is also lengthened that way. So in this manner, you can effectively stretch your hamstrings by changing the position of your back. So that's the first step that you need to understand. Round back will stretch more of your spine, a little bit on the hamstrings as long as your knees are straight. But with a straight back and hinging forward, you get a better and more effective stretch in your hamstrings. Now, step 2 is you want to learn or increase your awareness with your spine, because now you already understand that round back is not very effective. Straight back is more effective. But the problem sometimes is we don't know whether our back is round or straight. So now this second step, which is called sitting hinge exercise, it goes like this. I go forward, and then I go up and forward. You can keep your arms this way, and then up. So what this teaches me is to keep my back straight all the time, which is sometimes it's not very easy. So what you can do is you grab a stick, a broomstick will be fine. Sit down with your knees bent. Place the stick against your back like so, and then make sure that the entire spine from your head all the way to the tailbone here will be in contact with the back. And then from here you're going to be leaning forward and then back up. Lean forward and then make sure it doesn't change. Now you know that if the stick comes off your head or tailbone, that you know that you're already rounding your back. So you want to correct by straightening your back again and then come back up. Now you need to do this one as much as you can until you really understand how your back is moving in space. That is when you can effectively stretch your hamstrings later on. Okay, so that's step number 2. Step number 3 is now we will apply the same principle of this hinging exercise in a standing position. So what you will do is stand up with your feet just around hip width apart, or a little bit wider than the shoulders, that's fine. Then you keep your knees slightly bent. Okay, so we don't want to fully stretch the hamstrings yet. We want to make sure that we get used to keeping our back straight as we stretch the hamstrings. So you exactly do the same thing. Bent knees slightly, and then hinge forward, and then come back up. Hinge forward, and come back up. It will sometimes help if you keep your arms this manner. Then it will help you engage a little bit more of the back muscles, and then your back might be more straight. But in case if you cannot, again, you can grab the broomstick and then keep it against your back and then do the same thing. back straight, and then forward. Then as and when you feel like, oh, I can actually go lower here without bending my knees too much, then you can straighten your knees to deepen the stretch, and then come back up. Deepen the stretch, and then come back up. All right, so that's step number 3. Before we go to the final step here where you can really go deeper into the stretch, I'll give you a bonus stretch here, which is by opening your legs a little bit wider so you can stretch a little bit more on the inner thighs and the hamstrings together. So that's actually quite cool. So the same manner, arms open here to the side to engage more of your back, and then lean forward and come back up. Remember, you have to keep your back straight to effectively stretch your hamstrings. Now, if your hamstrings are a lot tighter than your inner thighs, this stretch might be a little bit easier. Yeah, that will be good. So you end up stretching a little bit on the hamstrings and the inner thighs here with this movement. If you want more of this tutorial, click the like and subscribe button there. Okay, so for the final stretch, we will do it one leg at a time. Yeah, so if you're doing it with both legs, there's a tendency that one leg is actually tighter than the other. So when you stretch with both legs, one leg will feel more stretched than the other side, which is a little bit more flexible. So what we will do is we will just do it with one leg at a time. We call this one leg good morning or one leg hinging exercise, where you put the other leg behind, but just slightly supporting. So you don't want to put too much weight here. You just want to keep it a little bit there, just to make sure you have your balance. And then you bend your knee a little bit first, and then the same thing. You want to hinge again, forward, and then up. And hinge forward, and then coming up. And remember, the most important thing here is to keep your back straight. And then once you get better with it, you can keep your knees straight and then do the same hinging exercise. And then you can even lift the other leg, so you are also working with your balance as you stretch your hamstrings. This will be very effective to improve your balance and then to also strengthen your hamstrings while you are stretching it. And of course, you do it with the other side. Let me just show you with the other side here so you get a better idea. Bend your knee first if you're still getting started, and then keep your back straight, and then come back up. Right? And then as you get better, you want to straighten that knee. And then if you want to challenge a little bit more with your balance, you want to lift off that other leg and then exactly do the same stretch. All right, so that's how you're going to effectively stretch your hamstrings by doing hip hinging exercises. Okay, so how many times do you need to do, or how many reps? You need to do it for 10 repetitions to start with, and then hold on the final rep for around 10 seconds, and then you can slowly progress over time. And then you're not going to be doing it for one set only. If you want to effectively stretch your hamstrings, you need to do it around 3 sets or 5 sets. If you have more time and you feel like you're not getting very sore the next day, you can do 4 sets and then increase up to 5 sets. If you want to work a little bit more with your legs on the inner thighs and the hips, check this video out where I teach you the wide squat exercise, which will take your inner thighs to the next level. See you in the next video.